Peter Phillips, better known by his stage name Pete Rock, is an American record producer, DJ and rapper. He rose to prominence in the early 1990s as one half of the critically acclaimed group Pete Rock and CL Smooth. After the duo went their separate ways, Rock continued with a solo career that has garnered him worldwide respect, though little in the way of mainstream success. Along with groups such as Stetsasonic, A Tribe Called Quest, the Roots and Gang Starr, Rock played a major role in the merging of elements from jazz into hip-hop music. He is widely recognized as one of the greatest hip-hop producers of all time, and is often mentioned alongside DJ Premier, the RZA, and J Dilla as one of the mainstays of 1990s East Coast hip-hop production. Pete Rock is also the older brother and younger cousin, respectively, of rappers Grap Luva and the late Heavy D. Biography: Early life: Pete Rock was born in the Bronx, New York, the sixth of 7 children. His family moved to Mount Vernon, New York when he was 7 years old. During high school, he met his future recording partner CL Smooth. According to Rock, his father was also a part-time DJ who had an impressive record collection. Rock would often accompany his father to a cricket club called Wembley in the Bronx and watch as he spun records for the guests. His first job was as a paperboy, in his neighborhood. Early career: his first major exposure to the hip-hop audience was in 1987 with Marley Marl, as a DJ on New York's WBLS radio show In Control with Marley Marl. The 17-year-old Phillips was recognized by the listening audience as the man put in work, as he would use double copies of each record to cut up every song he played, when most New York DJs would only use double copies on every third or fourth song. Propelled by the growth of his popularity, he began producing in the early 1990s. In 1991 he joined with CL Smooth to release the EP All Sold Out. The following year saw Mecca and the Soul Brother, the first of 2 full-length albums, released to critical acclaim and hailed as a classic by many. Pete Rock and CL Smooth were first signed to Elektra Records, managed, and executive produced by Eddie F. of Heavy D and the Boys, who also then managed Pete Rock as a producer. Pete Rock was one of the original 3 Untouchables producers along with Eddie F. himself and Neville Hodge. During this period, Pete Rock began to produce songs for other acts, such as Down with the King for Run DMC and The World Is Yours for Nas, as well remix singles for Jiro the Damager, Public Enemy, and the Notorious B.I.G. Pete and CL followed up Mecca in 1994 with The Main Ingredient. Like its predecessor, The Main Ingredient also received wide critical acclaim. However, soon after the album's release, the duo split and went their separate ways, with Rock focusing on production work for other artists. In 1995, he formed the group INI, with Grap Luva, Rob O, and I Love Him and released the classic 12 Inches Fakin' Jacks. The trio recorded an album, Center of Attention, originally named The Life I Live, which was heavily bootlegged and remained unreleased until 2003, when BBE Records picked it up for distribution. The release of this album was coupled with another previously unreleased mid-90s Pete Rock-produced album, Dada's The Original Baby Pa. In 1996, he appeared on the Red Hot Organization's compilation CD, America Is Dying Slowly, alongside Wu-Tang Clan, Coolio, and Fat Joe, among others. The CD, meant to raise awareness of the AIDS epidemic among African American men, was heralded as a masterpiece by The Source magazine. Solo career: while working as a DJ with Marley Marl on Hot 97's Future Flavors show, Rock was able to forge a relationship with Loud Records, allowing him to release his solo album Soul Survivor in the summer of 1998. After being dropped from the Loud imprint, Rock signed with Rapstar BBE under his own label Soul Brother Recordings. His first release on the imprint was Pete's Instrumentals, which was mostly made up of previously unreleased rock beats. All recorded between 1990 and 1995 but remixed and mastered for the 2001 BBE project. The album did however feature 2 additional 2001 songs that featured the vocals from The Union. An expanded and revisited version of the album was released less than 1 year later. 3 instrumentals had been replaced with 3 new songs performed by CL Smooth, Freddie Foxxx and Nature separately. Since then he has continued releasing solo albums including 2004's Soul Survivor 2. In that same year he also produced the bulk of Ed O.G's My Own Worst Enemy, as well as a track for the all-girl rap group Northern State. Pete Rock returned to greater visibility through a closer relationship with the Wu-Tang Clan. Their collaborations began with Soul Survivor, which featured Inspector Deck, Method Man, Ghostface Killah and Raekwon on various tracks, as well as producing a track each for Inspector Deck's and Raekwon's respective 1999 albums. Rock continued to work with the Wu on Soul Survivor 2, which featured both GZA and RZA. In 2006 he also produced 3 tracks for Ghostface's release Fish Scale, including the first single, and Nature Sounds labelmate Master Killer's second album, Made in Brooklyn. Pete Rock has cultivated a relationship with Brooklyn-based Nature Sounds Records. He recorded the song The PJs, which also features Wu-Tang Clan's Raekwon and Master Killah, released on the Nature Sounds compilation Natural Selection. He released an album entitled NY's Finest in February 2008, featuring Raekwon, Master Killah, D-Block, Redman, Papoose, Slum Village and Jim Jones, among others, also on Nature Sounds. The lead single from the album is entitled 914, and features rappers Sheek Louch and Styles P. He is scheduled to appear on albums by Bishop Lamont, Cannibal Ox, Terminology, Freddie Foxxx, Royal Flush, Verbal Threat, LL Cool J, Jojo Pellegrino, La the Darkman, Cormega, R.A. The Rugged Man, and others. He is also working with DJ rapper Doo-Wop under the name Tango and Cash. Planet Asia has recently claimed that later on in 2009 he will release a collaboration fully produced album with Pete Rock called Planet Rock. On December 2009 Rock denied that, but talked about collabo projects with The Dog Pound, Camp Lo, Smith N. Wesson. Pete Rock oversaw the production of J Stay Paid, a posthumous album by the producer J Dilla, released June 2, 2009, on Nature Sounds. Lately he has been in Hawaii, working with Kanye West on the latter's 5th album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. In addition, he and DJ Premier have announced that they are working on a joint album together, although further details are unknown. Recently in London he confirmed that Big Pooh and CL Smooth will be on his half of the Versus album, and he plans on dropping 5 albums in 2011, including reuniting with CL Smooth for a 3rd album and drop his 4th album on Nature Sounds. His next few collaborative albums are both due for a summer release, with Monumental first, then with Camp Lo's 80 Blocks from Tiffany's LP. In an April 2011 interview on Conspiracy Worldwide Radio, Pete Rock discussed his new solo work, including his album with DJ Premier, as well as exploring the fact that he has had numerous beats rejected by Eminem over the years. Pete Rock Uncensored Radio interview. In an August 2011 interview, he has confirmed the completion of the Camp Lo album 80 Blocks from Tiffany's, and that he is currently working on production for Touré's album, LT, and his own solo album Petestramentals 2. Affiliates, protégés. Through the years, Rock has helped to jumpstart the careers of several artists. His first project outside of Pete Rock and CL Smooth was the hardcore duo Igots, who released an EP called Street Nigga in 1993, with 4 out of the 6 tracks produced by Rock. However, they were quickly dropped from their deal with Reprise Records. His next venture, INI, was a group featuring Rock, his younger brother Grap Luva, Ross and rapper Robbo. They released a single, Fakin' Jax, through Elektra Records in 1995, before their debut album, Center of Attention, was shelved by the label. The other 2 members continue to record solo material, albeit only sporadically. In an interview Rock elaborated on the situation. "We finished the album, turned it into Elektra, and they never put it out, they only put out a single. Sylvia, Roan really didn't cooperate. She didn't break bread with me when it came down to resolving that. It was all about her changing everything around. She wanted to change my whole sound. When she said, 'You got to make a beat like Puffy,' I just knew it wasn't going to work out." Another mid-1990s artist, Dada, also met the same fate with his album The Original Baby Pa, although both this and INI's album were eventually released as a double album package in 2003. Other associated artists include Mechalicious, who recorded a few songs under Pete Rock's guidance, before disappearing from the music scene altogether. Rock has had some success, however, overseeing and jump-starting the career of hardcore underground favorites The Union, a group featuring 4 MCs, including former Flipmode Squad member Rock Marciano. Rock premiered the group on the single Nothing Lesser from his Pete'strumentals album, and they went on to release the fairly successful album You In or You Out in July 2004, featuring production by Rock, Large Professor, and several others. Relationship with CL Smooth. Since their split in 1995, Pete Rock's relationship with CL Smooth has been highly unpredictable. Although the pair briefly united for the reflective "Da 2" from Rock's Soul Survivor album in 1998, they avoided entertaining requests for a reunion album until 2001, when they once again teamed up for Back on Da Block from Rock's Pete'strumentals. In their interviews during this period, it appeared as though a new album was underway. As Rock would explain, "We've been on tour, we know every rhymer and producer in this business. We've influenced people, even people we've never met have said that we changed the face of hip-hop. So we're going to try to do some more." The pair went on a short international tour culminating in their well-received show at London's Jazz Café. However, soon after this they declined to comment any further on the new album, which never materialized. Eventually, Smooth would confirm rumors of a rift in an interview with AllHipHop.com, in which he appeared angry and frustrated with his former partner, saying I didn't unregistered trademark T ask him to be a superhero, and unregistered trademark M not the problem. In an interview taken in December 2006, Rock ruled out any further collaborations with Smooth but stated that he holds no grudges against his former partner. He recently confirmed that he will be recording a third album with CL Smooth. Musical style, production. Pete Rock builds his beats from samples, the majority of which are taken from obscure R&B, funk, and jazz records. Early on in his career he would also sample drum breaks such as Blackheath Zimbaku for Heavy D and The Boys' Letter to the Future. Pete Rock heavily used the EMU SP1200 as well as the AKAI S950, later moving on to using the MPC for his productions. Pete Rock tends to use the samples as palettes for his beats, chopping, filtering, and layering several samples, often within the same song. While this technique was applied long before Rock's work is distinctive for the way in which he uses samples to achieve a hazy, droning effect. He is also noted for his resonant bass lines, horn samples, and gritty-sounding drums. His beats often sound as though they were being played from an old vinyl record. He samples many of his sounds straight off these records. Another trait of his, more so in the earlier part of his career, is the way he uses horn samples to supplement his grooves. With perhaps the most famous example being They Reminisce Over You, Rock has also used horns on several other productions such as Straighten It Out, Public Enemy's Shut 'Em Down, Rah Diggers, What They Call Me, and ADOR's Let It All Hang Out. Along with Gang Starr, the Roots and A Tribe Called Quest, Pete Rock played a large role in the fusing of jazz and funk music into hip-hop. The aforementioned Reminisce. Withstanding, Rock used many jazz samples on his album Mecca and the Soul Brother, such as Cannonball Adderley's Country Preacher, for the song Return of the Mecca, or Capricorn for the song In the House from The Main Ingredient. Pete Rock's heavy use of intro and outro beats has also been widely influential. To introduce feature songs, he often plays a short instrumental excerpt, completely different from the rest of the song. Aside from their role as transitions, these are widely regarded as a way of displaying his large collection and as a challenge to other hip-hop producers to identify the records that the breaks come from. Mecca and the Soul Brother and The Main Ingredient use intro-outro beats on nearly every track to great effect, and the tradition continues to the present on Rock's recent releases. Remixes. Another Pete Rock remix is Pete Rock's trademark catchphrase, heard on countless singles that he has remixed. In addition to hip-hop artists, he has done remix work for artists from other genres, such as his 1995 remix of Before You Walk Out of My Life for R&B singer Monica. In 1992 he collaborated with Mary J. Blige on the What's the 411 single Reminisce, which utilized the same sample from his own single TROY. Rock claims to have done several high-profile remixes that remain unreleased, including one of Madonna's Secret. He also claims to have produced the original beat for the Notorious B.I.G.'s Juicy, and that it was recreated by P. Diddy and Poke, without consent. However, he was invited to produce the remix, which utilizes the same sample as the original Tune's Juicy Fruit. Although he received no official producer credit, he made the original demo beat for A Tribe Called Quest's Jazz, which was then recreated by the group on the album The Low End Theory. He remixed Public Enemy's Shut 'Em Down and Night Train in the same day, starting at 12 p.m. and finishing at 12 a.m. Up until 2003, he created all of his productions on the EMU-SP 1200, thereafter using the AKAI MPC 2000 XL. He also has a collection of about 90,000 records and looks for records at least once a week. Pete Rock was one of 9 artists who participated in TheTruth.com unregistered trademark S remix project, where he remixed the Sunnyside song OE Magical Amount. More recently, Rock has broadened the range of music he has remixed. In 2009, he was commissioned to remix Johnny Cash unregistered trademark SA OE Folsom Prison Blues, which appeared on 2009 unregistered trademark S Johnny Cash Remixed. In 2010, he remixed indie rockers Yo La Tengo's single Heretofall for the Heretofall Remixes EP, which included remixes by De La Soul and RJD2. Influence: Pete Rock has had a considerable impact on a number of record producers who have emerged in the hip-hop scene since the late 1990s. Many critics have compared newcomers to him, generally favorably. Perhaps most notable among these comparisons are the late Detroit producer J Dilla, and North Carolina's Ninth Wonder, both of whom have worked with Rock during their recording careers. Several of the comparisons stem from the fact that these producers have created the bulk of their productions out of samples, as well as the warm, mellow, and exuberant undertones apparent in their work. Pete Rock himself has added validation to the comparisons with J Dilla by stating he's the only producer in this game that was just as serious as me. Many other producers, including Kev Brown and Kanye West, have also found themselves compared to Pete Rock, with the latter glowingly referring to himself as the new version of Pete Rock on Slum Village's Selfish from the group's 2004 album Detroit Deli. Pete Rock has acknowledged his relevance to these artists, releasing an instrumental record with Ninth Wonder, as well as recording his own remix of West's Heard 'Em Say. Rock himself has named his main musical influences as being influential hip-hop producer and close friend Marley Marl and legendary soul musician James Brown. Discography: Studio albums, Soul Survivor, Pete's Instrumentals, Lost and Found, Hip-Hop Underground Soul Classics, My Own Worst Enemy, Soul Survivor 2, The Surviving Elements, From Soul Survivor 2 Sessions, NY's Finest, Monumental, Soul Survivor 3, Pete's Instrumentals 2, References. External links: Pete Rock discography at Discogs, Pete Rock on MySpace, Pete Rock at the Internet Movie Database, Pete Rock on Twitter.